year was 2021, before the dark times, and I had a dream.
What I want to build is something like this. And what I want to start with is this part, this frame that goes around the top and bottom. So I'm going to build basically 1, 2, 3 of these big rectangular rings, and that's what I'm going to use these for.
I didn't have a table saw back then. I needed to borrow Papa's, so we jumped in my first car, which was a red 2003 Oldsmobile Alero that I bought for $850 cash.
Your windows roll down here. I know. Fix that one. It was fine, but Brown was messing with it.
I loved that car, but for the entire time I owned it, the window mechanisms did not work. Someone tried the button on the driver's side one day, and the window pane fell down inside the door. The other side was fine, until my brother decided to try the switch.
Slapped her. Yeah, like the Joker. Oh, good. What is wrong with you? What? It's like, that's what I'm working on tonight. I didn't actually move it. You're welcome. Get in there and put something. It didn't fall down. It just made a bad noise. It's probably going to fall down now. What did you just do?
Fixed it up just a little bit, and now it's close.
I heard another awful sound from the inside.
I'll fix it. What's that?
It's just gonna fall again. I'm gonna have to put boards inside to hold it up like I did in the other window.
Why don't you just like fix it?
Because I don't need it fixed. I have to buy like $50 a part for each window. It's not worth that. It's an old car.
But if you go off the cliff into the water, first thing you're supposed to do is roll your windows down. And then you can't do that.
Well, next time I roll off a cliff into the water, you can tell me you told me so.
That car has passed on now, but the memories I have of it are fond and vivid because that car was rich with character and story. The wooden supports that I put inside the door to hold the window in place, the tricky angle you had to use to turn the key in the ignition, all of that makes the car feel so much more real.
I have conflict of helps.
You look like you need help. You want it exactly 4 inches, right?
Yeah.
Screw.
Oh.
You were about to mess my blade up with a
I
screw.
did not know there was a screw in there. Okay. I didn't put the screw there.
It kept hanging on something. I couldn't figure out what it was. Okay.
I'm gonna have to find a way to dust this lens.
I'm trying to remember what got me started on this idea. I think it's just that I wanted to own a big heavy wooden chest because they're cool. But to go to the store and buy one felt like it would just defeat the purpose of having one to begin with.
All of these are very thick and very heavy, and that's not by accident. I want this thing to be absurdly heavy. I don't want it to move. I want it to require 2 people to lift this thing. We need more wood and metal and leather in our lives. I have declared it, and it shall be so. I have all the wood right here. I didn't film this because sometimes you just need to go out and do some woodworking and get your mind off things without worrying about a camera all the time. You just want to do it and focus on the project. But all of it's cut and sanded. You see I've got the 45-degree angles on the ends of these. This is going to form the frame. These right here are going to be vertical. These will go inside the lid, and I've got some shorter versions of these. So you have a top board and a bottom board on the frame, and then the walls will screw onto the inside. But we want to cover this up. So on these corners, on the exterior, there's going to be this this corner piece right here. And originally I was going to just take some flat boards and screw them together. So there'd kind of be one on the front and then a smaller one on the side, forming that L shape. But then I thought, how cool would it be if I get some 4x4s, carve out the corner, and make that my my corner piece, and it would be seamless on the outside.
I mean, for one, I think it would have been hard to go out and find what I was looking for anyway. I had a very specific vision in mind. I wanted big, I wanted sturdy. I didn't want a flat lid. I wanted something with a cavity inside the lid. I wanted specific proportions. I wanted a specific color.
Initially, I didn't want to stain the boards. I like just to use the natural color of wood if I can, and they looked pretty good originally, but the color lightened up a lot on some of them when I sanded them. I don't like the idea of stain because it's not real, but I did want a darker look to the wood, and wood is expensive. I'm working with pine. Pine looks light, and so I decided to go ahead and try stain. I need to try stain at some point anyway. I've never actually stained anything. So I did a test board with this scrap piece. I think that looks honestly really good. So we're gonna do pre-stain first. Basically, the longer I leave this on here, the more of it's gonna soak into the wood and the darker the wood will get. By the time I get to the end of the row, it's pretty much gonna be time to start wiping it off, I think. This honestly looks really gross. Cool thing about stain though, you can just be sloppy. Yep, that is good. That's plenty. Okay, I'm actually pretty happy with that. I am happy with how that turned out. A few places it looks odd, but I think as it just kind of ages and airs out, I think it's gonna look a lot better. I think it's very, very close to what I originally had in mind.
Another reason to build one myself was money. If you go online, you're gonna spend at least $500 on something like this. I was just on my way out of college. I did not have $500 to spend on a cool box. I don't have that now. What I did have were 2 hands and just barely enough workspace to get it done.
It's a little off. It's a little weird, man. It's a little weird. I'm a little concerned.
How do professionals do this? How do they get it lined up?
Where the corners come together, now you got that crack. The other thing that I did not think about is hanging right up there.
What?
Those clamps.
Oh, is that what those are for?
Yep, they'll put a 45 together right on the money.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
I have constructed the first corner. Feels strong, sturdy. Oh no, oh no, oh no, it wobbles. It wobbles. That's the worst thing possible. I don't want it to wobble. I could attach the front board, but when I put the chest on the floor, it's still gonna wobble. Honestly, I'm just gonna cut the camera off till I figure this out. Okay, it's been like 30 seconds. I figured out which one is wrong. I figured out what's wrong here. This one's level, this one's level, this is off the ground. So everything else is right. I'm gonna take out these screws, and I'm gonna try and fix this. One thing I've realized about filming stuff like this, it's not a good idea to try to film the process of doing something when I have no idea what I'm doing. I need to have a plan first, know what I'm doing, then film it. So I think I got it. I unscrewed both of these screws, and then I just kind of held this down and held the other corner down and screwed it back in, and it's good. I got the main part of the frame done. About to start on the lid. It turned out great. You can't even see the whole thing unless I step back. Oh, it's awesome. Things fortunately came out really well. I was able to just kind of push and pull until everything fit together. I did have to put a spacer over on this corner, just a little wedge down in there to space that out so that this corner would look right. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? There's the lid. It's gonna lift up just like that. There's no hinge on it right now. There it is. I have a frame. Very, very
cool, very solid. Everything came out nice and straight, and the lid sits nice and evenly. It doesn't really rock enough to worry about. There are gaps in some of the corners. I knew it was gonna be that way.
Sorry about that.
I don't know what the next step is. I really don't. I mean, I guess walls. Walls are next. Walls and floor and top.
But more than anything else, I feel like buying a wooden chest that was built by a stranger and is probably one of many that are exactly like it just takes all of the appeal out of it. It's like it's no longer a real thing. Does that make any sense?
So here's what I was thinking about using. Right here. They're flooring boards. I'm not sure how we ended up with them. We have a lot of stuff here that was kind of collected, and so now I'm trying to do stuff with some of that stuff, and a lot of it is scrap wood. These are floorboards. Don't know where they came from. Looks like they may be disposed of by some factory. I want to put this side, the smooth side, on the inside, and it has these words printed on it, so it has character. I'm gonna put some boards along here to put these onto. And I need to re-drill some holes, but I want to put the screws in here where they will not be where these screws will be. Okay, here's how I'm gonna do this. Battery change time. Ow. What? No. Hang on. Are you serious? Oh. The charger wasn't plugged in. Somebody unplugged my charger. How dare they? Well, it looks like it's break time. That one really went in. I really don't know where all this came from. We have this big thing with all of these screwed together, and then we have a bunch of bundles like this. And I have no explanation. It's some kind of flooring, I guess, that some factory threw out. I want it snug, but I don't want it to push the frame apart at all. That is perfect. Dude, it looks so good. So good, you can actually see it. I am really happy with how this looks. And this isn't final. I have to take these out and kind of sand the edges a bit more, sand out a few rough patches so that you don't get a splinter if you sit down on it. And I need to go to Peppo's and get one of these cut, get a sliver cut. I can't do that with this saw. I have to use his table saw. I'll split one of these down the middle, and I'll use the left edge for the lid, and then I'll use the right edge to make the bottom of the inside of the chest. And I'll have just enough of the long ones to go all the way across the top and all the way across the bottom. Like literally, I have exactly, these are the ones that are long enough to go on the top and bottom of the chest. These and these right here. And I literally have exactly enough if I split one and use half of it on the top and half on the bottom. And then these shorter ones, I have a lot of shorter ones, plenty of short ones. they will be used for the sides of the chest because they don't need to be quite as long. Plenty of character, that's for sure. You can see the fade marks from where these used to be all screwed together, and they had a board that went across. They've got all these little screw holes that are blackened from age. I've been visualizing it for so long, but now I get to actually see it, and it looks every bit as good as I imagined it. Right exactly at 3/4 of an inch, and they both fit perfectly square against the end. So I guess that means I've done a pretty decent job of keeping this thing square.
I believe you have.
Like I thought I might end up having to cut one of them at an angle
Yeah.
to fill the gap, but they're perfectly straight. It's gluing time. I need to take this end piece, this little skinny end piece, and glue it onto this because I don't want to put a screw through this. It's just going to split if I try to do that. So we'll just glue it onto this, screw this one in place, and then the others over here, I'm going to glue all these. I'm going to glue everything in place, and the glue is not there to hold them permanently. The glue is there just to hold everything in place while I screw it all together. Okay, here we go. Now we're rolling. Yep, I overglued it. I wasn't thinking about the edges. Normally when you're putting on wood glue, you're just gonna end up sanding in the next step anyway, but I don't want to do a lot of sanding to get rid of this glue. Clamp it.
Part of the appeal is that it is necessarily one of a kind. I couldn't replicate it if I wanted to. I can't go out and buy more of these flooring boards. I didn't buy any wood. I modified the design to work around whatever materials I happened to have on hand at the time. The design and materials of the chest tell a story about its own construction.
There is an extra complication with these. So on the ends, obviously I have these pieces cut that go on the ends with to fit around these, and I need this part to be supported. If I just stick this in here like this, it can rock. And so this needs some support. I need to put another one of these over here, but I have to make sure it's totally level with this. And the best way to do that is to go ahead and put this in, glue it in place right under here, and clamp it so that it stays that way. And then after that dries, then go in underneath and put the support against it. I'm actually going to slide this out. Slide this right in here. Clamp right there. Right here. And we'll come back later. Oh no! No! I just realized I put this in upside down. And I just put glue on everything. Man! This is some strong glue. I don't want to leave. I want to flip it. I don't want to leave it. I don't want to leave it. Wow. Really bang this thing up to get it broken loose. I cannot believe I did that. It's confusing because for the lid you have the ribbed side up, but this is the floor and the smooth side goes on the interior. Now I need to get all this glue off here because this right here is going to be the floor. You know what, forget that. I'm doing it right now. We can do it right now. I can screw the support on there while it's clamped. Yes, that's what I'm gonna do. Ooh, there's a lot of glue dripping down here, isn't there? That's pretty bad. I'll give that a sanding later, but it's on the underside of the chest. You won't see it. I get a little bit wild with my glue. You cannot do that. It's not a great angle because this clamp is in the way. You know what? I don't need the clamp. I don't need the clamp. Good. No, not good. Why is it? It moved. I don't want it to move. Okay, that's good. And you know what I'm gonna do? I just had the most brilliant idea. This is gonna just be wonderful. When I put the walls in, they're gonna go right here, like this. So they're gonna cover up the edge of this board, which means I can just go ahead and put some of those trim nails that I bought right in there. We'll just sink maybe 3 of these. And then we go in with the beautiful. This is honestly so much fun. It's like every step of building this thing just gets better. And I can't really take credit for it because I'm just making all this stuff as I go along. It's just coming together really well. Now this last piece, I actually do have to wait on the glue for this. Wait, do I? No, I don't. This just keeps getting better. All right. So my plan, originally, is to take these screws and put them up through here. So the screw head would be visible from the bottom of the chest, and there would be a screw under each floorboard. But instead, what I'm gonna do, there aren't gonna be any visible screws down here at all, except for the ones that go this way. But I mean, there aren't gonna be a row of screws going up that way like that. Instead, I'm just gonna do what I did over here. I'm gonna put in trim nails right up along the edge, and then when I put the walls in, they will cover this up and you won't be able to see it at all. Yes, this is gonna be so satisfying. And maybe screws would have been better. I don't know. That's concerning. Did I hit the screw? I don't think it's deep enough to hit the screw. Oh, why? That's part of the benefit of the way this thing is constructed. I don't need a nail there. That board can just be held in by the adjacent boards. See, I drilled all these holes in this thing, but I did a miserable job of estimating where the boards would be, so I can't actually use these holes, so it kind of looks like garbage. But it's okay, you know, I'll, There's no reason I couldn't put new ones on there. Right? Pretty sure. I could take those out, I could put in some new ones. Hard to screw in though. Screws with the boards. I've lost it again. That doesn't really work. I don't really care about putting dents in this wood, so just... It's done. The lid is complete. I actually had to change up my entire plan and redo everything. I had to take these out. They're down there. They're no good. It all fell apart. I tried to do nails and that didn't work, and all these got out of whack, and some of them were sticking up and at angles, and then I tried to take the nails out and I couldn't do that, and I tried putting the screws in and that didn't work. So I ended up just putting in new supports, starting fresh, and putting in one of these at a time, screwing as I went, and they're finally in. The lid is done, and I think it looks pretty good.
The other part of the appeal is that not only is it physically very real, but the process of creating it was a very real activity. There was no kit, no blueprint that I downloaded from online. I started with a pile of whatever wood happened to be nearby, and step one was to make up step one.
Hey, so when I'm working on a project like this, and it's something I've never done before, or I'm just making things up as I go along, and I run into a lot of roadblocks because I don't know what I'm doing, it's really hard to film those parts. And I ran into that, so I did not film as I was putting in the walls, but all the walls are done. I had a lot of trouble with these. I had to try a few different things, and I finally got the process figured out on how to put them in and get them screwed in, and what kind of screws to use. I should not have tried to use finish nails on these. That did not go very well, but I got it done, and it looks awesome. This thing is heavy. It's very, very heavy, and I had to take it back to Peppo's to cut some other pieces to make them fit. Let's see. These right here are thin slivers of this wood. I needed to cut them to fit into these slots. There's a slot like this on each corner. So anyway, I had to load this whole thing into my car, and I was barely able to carry it out there by myself. So when I get the lid on there, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. Fortunately, it's almost done. So what we've got now is I have these. It was one of these boards that I had propped up over here. I picked one out, took it over there to Peppo's, to his table saw, and we cut it into thin slices. That's what these are, thin slices of that board. And I'm going to use these as trim because I want to cover this up. I could have cut these a lot better. I could have made the lengths all even, much more even than this, very, very even. I decided not to bother because this right here is just not attractive, and I knew I could do better than that. So I'm going to sand these up. They don't need a lot, but they just need to be smoothed up a little bit, and maybe a little bit on the edges too. And then I'm just going to cut them into size and put them down. Oh, also he gave me hinges. I think they're in my car. Oh, and I actually need to go ahead and put these in before I do that, and because they're going to have to be glued in place. They're too small to use nails. That's a little bit better. Peppo gave me these hinges. They were in his workshop. I'm not sure where he got them or how he ended up with them, but boy are they thick. Look at that. Oh, they're so big and heavy. It's kind of hard to put it, well, I can put it into context. Here are the hinges that I bought from Lowe's originally. I didn't really like them, but they were the best thing I could find for this project. These are what I was going to use. Look at the difference. We want that thick, chunky metal. I am putting the trim in the chest. and it's turning out awesome. This is a really satisfying step. So here's the trim. Down here I've got it all around the base, all the way around just like that. And the next thing I'm doing is I'm putting it on the corners. So you can see I've already got one piece up right here because we've got to cover up these cracks. See, if I come around here, you can see the light coming through. That's a crack, and it's even worse on some corners. Right there you can see a crack right at the edge, and that's what these are for, is to cover that up. And also kind of cover up these corner things because there are screws in them, and it looks good. Look at it, it looks good. It's kind of dark. But the tricky thing about this is I want this to fit in nice and snug and be good. But we have these at the bottom. Let's get some light in there. So I want to put these trim pieces in, but they need to fit against these and not just have this, we don't want it to be like that. That's not great. So what I'm doing is I'm actually carving out a little bit of this so that it can fit right along this curve. I'm making room for this curve, and it just fits right on there. So let me show you how I'm going about this. So the first step is to cut the trim piece so that it's just a little bit longer than it needs to be. So this is about what I want. It doesn't quite fit under that, just to make sure I have enough to work with. And then I look at the way this lines up with this, and just kind of get an idea for that. This is a mess. It's horrible, and I apologize for this. Anyway, the next step is I take my trim piece over here and I hold this little extra spare piece up against it like this, right how it's going to fit. So I just hold it against this to make sure everything is nice and flush and oops, okay. Just put it against a flat surface, try to hold it all still, and then just trace along the line, along the curve with the pencil. There we go. Now I have my line to go by. So then I just go in with my cutter, my carving tool. I think that's pretty good, pretty close. Take a look, see how well it fits. I'm gonna hit that with some sandpaper just to get all the splinters off of the edges. Just like that, that's what we want. Just gonna go right up against there. The curve is good. It fits very cleanly down here, very nice and flat. So now I just have to trim the top off. And there we go. That is pretty clean. I really like how that is turning out.
You know, the more that cell phones and social media kind of take over and change the way we develop, the less I feel like I see people engaging in the kinds of real activities that I did growing up. Kids are growing up in a world of pre-packaged activities, like kits with a picture on the box of what you're gonna make, and all the pieces are pre-made inside, and there's an instruction manual. This kind of open-ended problem solving is missing from the modern lifestyle, and it's taking an important kind of learned intelligence with it. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot as I think about what kind of parent do I want to be, what do I want my kids doing. You know, kids don't do what their parents tell them to do, they do what they see their parents do. What kind of things do I want my kids to grow up watching me do all the time?
Here's one of the hinges that Peppa found. I don't like the paint. I want to get rid of the paint. So I'm just going to take this off. I'm going to do a rough job. It doesn't have to be perfect because nothing on this chest has to be perfect. It's okay that you can see that it used to be painted. That gives it character. So this is the side that's going to show. But I've got this wire brush attachment thing for my power drill. And just go over it like that and then hit it with some sandpaper. There is a slight thing I have to figure out, because this hinge is wider than this. I mean, that's fine. It's okay if it hangs over onto this, but the holes are on this, and I need all of the holes to be over here. So oh no. Okay, we're good. For a second there, I thought I was doing that on the front side of the chest. Not that it would be that big a deal, but there's an ugly piece of wood down here at the bottom that I really wanted to be on the back. It's okay. This is the back side. I'm doing it right. We're good. Yeah, this is definitely sketchy work. All right. Yes. This is good. This is very good. I'm gonna deepen it just a little bit at this end. It's a good thing this is gonna be covered up because this is ugly. That looks awful, but it closes. All right, here's what we're doing. We've got the lid on the chest, but the hinges are not attached. The hinges are currently attached here. They're not attached to this. So what I did is I glued them with wood glue to this. I don't know how well that's gonna hold, but it has to be positioned right so that this is all lined up and this is all lined up. And it needs to be lined up right when we screw it in. So I'm gonna very carefully open this and try to hold it up and not break the glue loose while my brother screws everything in. He's got a pre-drill, 4 holes, and then put in the screw things. Here we go. Is it best if I hold it up like this, or?
Right there is perfect.
Okay. Yeah, there goes that.
Well, I can. Okay. You want to just hold it?
It's falling apart. What?
Well, I mean.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, we'll just hold it because that's not gonna work. I got one hole kind of soon.
Huh?
We'll just kind of. We should have marked it. And then because just in case it falls off.
I'm trying to think. Maybe we can put this on something, and then flip the hinges open and screw it in. I think what we need to do is somehow glue it or tape it or something again, and then flip it open and have the lid resting on something. It's a perfect fit. Try to slide it this way a little bit until we can close it. Is it trapped? We're gonna have to disassemble the counter. Yeah, it's all screwed in. Okay, trapped here. It better be strong. I think that's pretty good considering.
That sounds good. That sounds like when you put that last screw in it.
This side hangs over a little bit too. But I mean, considering what we were trying to do, it's just a little bit off. But that is pretty freaking close.
There's an interesting dichotomy in art in that when you're creating art digitally, whether you're 3D modeling or drawing or building something in a video game, everything in the computer world is already perfect and flawless by default. And you spend the bulk of your time trying to add character and add flaws to make it feel like something out of the real world. Whereas in physical artwork, especially woodworking, typically you're trying to remove all the characteristics and make everything as smooth and geometrically perfect as possible. And I feel like sometimes, maybe, instead of trying to subdue the very nature of the materials you're working with, maybe there is an art to embracing those natural characteristics and embracing the realness of what you're creating.
A lot has changed. I bought a table saw and I can cut stuff. I can do stuff. And also, I did some work on the chest and I didn't film it because my tripod broke and I felt like doing the things and I didn't feel like filming it or waiting for the new tripod. So I found an old leather belt. Oh, it's beautiful. Look how they fold. They fold up and down. Oh, it's wonderful. Look at that. Oh, it's awesome. Perfectly silent.
and they're not going to damage anything. And when you close it, they just fold down. They just fold in a really satisfying way. And I can't get over it. The next thing is going to be these corner pieces, because they're just, it's very awkward looking. The top is very big, the bottom is very big, and then you just got this skinny section in the middle. It needs a frame piece right here to thicken this up, and that's what's going to really bring it all together. And that is what we have the table saw for. Ah, there we go. L cut. We got a corner piece. Here is the corner piece. Cut down to length, and it fits right in here. Tap it in. Just like that. Okay. I got them trimmed, I got them cut. I actually cut out the inside a little bit more to make them thinner. And that was interesting. It worked, I got it done. And check this out. This is what I got. This is what I ended up with. I literally just cut this really thin L shape. So the thickness of this plus the thickness of the blade is how much thinner they now are. And I just didn't expect this to actually hold together, but I just had this that I cut out of it. So all of them are cut, and they're the right thickness, and they're all the right length. Each one fits on a specific corner, because each corner is just a little bit different, and they're made to fit nice and tight. And I sanded them smooth, so I don't think, see, they didn't cut my hair right. I typically have them cut it short and then fade it to a longer length at the top. But this lady, she just cut this short and she cut this long, and it's just a direct transition, and so now it looks really stupid. So whenever I have something like this that has this little notch taken out of it, I guess maybe it was a knot in the wood or something, I don't really know, but that's really rough and not smooth to the touch, not friendly to the finger. So I generally will take my rotary carver and put a I think they're technically sharpening stones, but they're really good for like kind of sanding things in weird corners. And I can just take that and smooth out the little divot. I just kind of rounded it all over, and it's smooth to the touch. There are no more little splintery bits that are gonna flake off and stick out and poke people. Wipe off any excess stain and just let these sit for a couple of hours. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, they're all on. They're good. They're stained. And it's awesome. They're a little bit lighter, mostly, than these. I think these came out a little darker than I wanted them to. And instead of making these match, I just let them be lighter. Let there be a little bit of variation. It's fine. So these are ready to go on. The nail, there was a nail sticking out behind this one right there, sticking out from the inside. And so I just took my rotary carver and put a tungsten carbide burr on there and just shaved it down. So now this fits on there nice and flat. The nail's not in the way. And I'm just gonna use some trim nails.
Honestly, the fact that this thing turned out as well as it did still blows my mind. At every step along the way, I was just making stuff up as I went. There were so many challenges that I had no experience with. And the fact that every corner is perfectly square, even though it has no right to be, is nothing short of a miracle. I had very specific high hopes for this chest, and it turned out to be exactly what I wanted, and 1,000 times more.
This. Actually, probably if I just, if you go on that side, and I'll just slide it back, and then you put cardboard in front of it, and then I'll tilt it forward. And I'll tilt it down.
You want it upside down?
I want it sitting on its face. I don't want this thing to scratch up any floors or anything, and it's just gonna sit in one place mostly, but you know, if somebody bumps it, it might slide a little bit or something. So what I want is I just want to raise it up above the floor just a tiny bit, and I have some little pads. So I had some leftover leather from that belt that I used for the lid, And I just cut it up into little squares like this. These are the belt loops that were in the belt, because I didn't want to use those inside the chest. We're going to use those right here, and I'm going to try and use a finish nail and sink the finish nail deep enough that it's not going to touch the floor before the leather does. Alright, so I'm just going to give this a good whack. Okay, that'll work. That'll protect the floor. That is nice. I like it. I'm really excited to set it. Really excited to set it down on a floor and just see what it looks like, because it'll have this slight hover, this little floating magic. It's like an eighth of an inch off the floor.
The final product weighs in at 99.6 pounds. There are leather pads on the bottom to protect the floor, but this thing is not going to slide accidentally. You have to put deliberate effort into moving it. This thing is going to be around in my family for generations. This is solid. This is real. It is not going anywhere. Every piece of wood and leather and the hinges are reclaimed. The only things I bought from the store were screws, nails, stain, and glue. It took me about 8 months to make it, poking at it on and off. And of course, a lot of credit goes to my papaw for helping me cut, lending me tools, and spending a lot of time helping me make some decorative corner brackets that I never ended up using. Overall, this chest has what I would describe as depth of existence. We live in an age where most wooden furniture is really a mixture of wood dust and glue poured into a mold with a sticker on top that has a picture of wood grain printed on it. The vast majority of the things that we own were popped out of a mold on an assembly line, often designed to look weathered and authentic. Soulless objects. This is honest about what it is, and it is wholeheartedly everything that it tries to be. I crave more of this in my life.